So a week ago, I was in this bed and I was on my laptop and I didn't really know what to do. I was kind of bored, I was kind of sick, and I couldn't be bothered to get out of bed. It was the weekend. And somehow I managed to stumble across this weird website called the Manhattan Art Review. Now, I'm not very interested in art. The only posters I've got in my room are like Ghostbusters. This website was still interesting to me though, and that is mainly because of its style. So as you can see, this website is just completely bare bones. It looks like something straight out of the 20th century, and it looks like something that would be a pain to read. After doing some digging, I realized that this website had an audience. In fact, they've even got merch, they've got books, they've got weird like tie-dye caps that they sell, and somehow they make money. So I thought, I can do that, I can code that. My last videos have been about coding 90s style websites for the indie web. So why don't I create a magazine for the indie web? And that is how the Lamb's Conduit Review was born. My magazine is modelled off the Metropolitan Review, which is a brand new kind of journal that was founded in 2025 on Substack. And they basically talk about high art, culture, literature, movies. And that's where I got the review part of the name from, although, you know, that was pretty obvious. You've got the London Review of Books, you've got the Paris Review, you've got New York Review of Books, you've got a lot of reviews. The point is, I went with the name The Lamb's Conduit Review. The review part because we're doing like literature and movies and all this cool stuff. We're going to be reviewing culture and the world and politics. And then Lamb's Conduit because it's a cool street in London where like Virginia Woolf lived and set a book, and where other people like Sylvia Plath lived off of it. And it's a cool street. You can go, well, I don't know if you can go. You might live in like Botswana or something, but you could go, theoretically. It's that way. Because I wanted this site to be really simple, it took literally no time to code. I'm talking like 2 hours at 10 in the morning. So if this was like 4 o'clock, it would have taken me 20 minutes. It's basically completely the same as the Manhattan Review. The font is Times New Roman. The background color is light blue. I don't know why. I was just looking up how to change the color of backgrounds, and the first one that came up, like as an example, was light blue. And so I put in light blue and it looked cool, so I stuck with light blue. So on the home page, I have a little paragraph about what we're talking about and a link to the about page. And then below I have the list of essays. So we have our most recent essays, and then we have essays on films, books, TV, not TV, politics, technology, STEM, that kind of thing. This is the finished product. It's something. It's not amazing. And then this is the about page. As you can see, there's a photo of the titular Lamb's Conduit Street, and there's a little bit of writing that is really weird to read, and I would like to rewrite it, but then again, I'd have nothing to say. That was step 1 completed. Code the website. The next step was to market the website. So I thought, what better place to post the Lamb's Conduit Review than Reddit? So I went on to r/literature, I made this Reddit post, and I got some feedback. You could definitely call it feedback. Sadly, the people of Reddit were not fans. They did not want to contribute to the site by writing an essay. They didn't even want to really take a look at it. They said that nobody in their right mind would read a website that is designed like that, even though I know it works, because I know that the Manhattan Art Review is successful. I just need to get it in front of weird people, which is why I'm making this YouTube video. I did get some decent feedback though from Reddit, and that was mainly people complaining about the lack of content on the website. So basically, when I posted this to Reddit, there were no essays there, and I was just planning on asking people to just write essays for free, which in hindsight was not the best move, considering I already had like 2 essays which I could just copy and paste onto the site. So then I figured I better start writing some content. So I coded a new system for each web page. I do kind of want to code like an admin site, so it would be easier to upload a blog post, because every time now it's kind of difficult. I have to copy and paste the code in, and then I have to change it. And then because I host a website on NeoCities, which is the indie web hosting site, and then they have weird rules with like apostrophes, and then so for the content pages I added some links back to the home page, because I figured, you know, they're loving these articles so much, they need to read more. I decided to make them in like a column pattern because I thought that would make it more professional, and ultimately the goal is to surpass the New Yorker. I don't know why I thought adding columns to a terrible website would help increase the chances of it surpassing the New Yorker, but I did, and I think the columns look cool. The first essay I added, or I wrote, was strategic, and that's because it can fill in two different categories on the website. That's political and that's literature. That's because it's a review of this book, If Russia Wins. So basically this book, it's tiny, so it took me like an hour to read, and it's just this political scientist dude called Carlo Massala thinking up a scenario where Russia beats Ukraine. Or it's not really like Russia beats Ukraine, it's if Russia takes half of Ukraine, Ukraine surrenders. Basically, the peace plan that Trump is proposing right now, basically, if that happens, what happens next? And that is basically what this book is. It like predicts the end of NATO, and it's pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. I would not like the future that happens in this book, but you can, of course, read more about it in the Lamb's Conduit review, link in the description. The next essay was based off of a pretty surreal experience. Me and my dad got tickets for pretty cheap. I feel like they were cheaper than normal cinema tickets, but we got tickets for the London Film Festival, the BFI London Film Festival, where we would see the latest film by acclaimed director Richard Linklater, Nouvelle Vague. Nouvelle Vague is about the making of this film, Jean-Luc Godard's Breathless, and it's a weird movie. It's in black and white, it's in 4:3 aspect ratio, just like the film it's talking about. I really liked the film, but it was not like a normal film. There was no real conflict. It was literally just a story of these guys making the movie, but Jean-Luc Godard is weird enough that he makes it fun and he makes it interesting, and obviously you can read more about it in my review. And then just a couple of days ago, I wrote a review of the latest Knives Out film and how it's kind of part of this 2025 tradition of movies that are very much about the political state of the world right now and very much about America, and have characters who seem like Donald Trump. Basically, there are a lot of movies this year that have characters that are basically Donald Trump, and the new Knives Out film is no exception, and that's basically what my review was about. So writing these essays for the Lamb's Conduit review on my cool website is great, it's fun, it's alright. The problem is nobody is reading them, and when I say nobody, I mean absolutely nobody. Actually, this could be a lie. And that's because NeoCities, where I host the website, has kind of its own search engine. When you go on the NeoCities website, you can browse websites that other people have made, and I'm assuming that people have done that because my website, The Lamb's Conduit Review, seems to have 600 odd visits. Now this could be very awesome. This could be extremely awesome, because that could mean that people are visiting the website. Maybe people are saving the website's address, the website's URL, to come back to see if there have been any new articles, any new essays or anything. But to be honest, I don't think this is really true, and I have no way of knowing. NeoCities say they don't allow bots onto your site, but I beg to differ. I don't think that 600 people have just randomly looked at the tiny thumbnail of my website and thought, yeah, I'll give that a click. So I think that a lot of these 600 visits are probably just like AI trying to scrape my website to use when some random person asks about the new Knives Out film, or chat bots, or I don't know. Basically, I don't think these are real humans. And even if they were real humans, I would have no way of knowing, because I have no way of people signing in or signing up. And that brings us to the future. What is going to happen to the Lamb's Conduit review in the future? First of all, this YouTube video. Hopefully this video gets seen by more than like 5 people. My last video, I think, which was months ago now, so the YouTube algorithm may hate me, but that video got like 79 views. That's not going to cut it. We need more people than that to take over the New Yorker, let's be honest. So hopefully this YouTube channel will serve as an advertisement for the website. And yes, there's a subtle hint for you to head to the description or head to the lambsconduitreview.neocities.org and open the website in a new tab. And if you're on mobile, I would not recommend looking at the website because it's basically unviewable in mobile. I mean, you can try if you want. I don't know if I would advise it, but you can have a go, I guess. Secondly, I need a mailing list. You guys might all go, you might visit the site. Some of you might get bored in 2 seconds. Well, most of you won't visit the site. Let's be honest, most of you are still not watching. If you are, thank you. But let's say 10% of people who watch this video go look at the site. 50% of those people will click off in like 2 seconds because they're bored or they're turned off by the weird design of the site. The other 50% might have a read of an article. And of that 50%, let's say 50% want to come back for more. But let's be honest, in a week, you're going to have forgotten about this. And let's be honest, I don't have the greatest YouTube upload schedule. Will I really be uploading? Are you even subscribed? I don't know. Do you have notifications on? Have you liked this video? I do not know, right? So basically, what I'm saying is that I need a mailing list so that people who read the articles and like the articles can get notified and told to come back to the site when there's new stuff for them to read. And also that solves our problem of not actually knowing how many people have come to our site, because let's say we get 10 people who subscribe to the mailing list. Then we can say that we actually have 10 dedicated readers. And lastly, if this is going to be a real journal, a real magazine, a real review, then it can't just be me writing all this stuff. I need interesting people to write interesting essays for me to accept, so that it's basically just not my personal blog. Because, let's be honest, The New Yorker is not the editor-in-chief's personal blog. He has hundreds of people writing essays for him. So I need hundreds of people writing essays for the Lambs Conduit Review. I just spent a whole 10 minutes trying to film a clever outro for this video, but I could not think of something. So, goodbye. Check out the Lambs Conduit Review website. Check out this video because YouTube thinks you might like it. And subscribe.